I didn't take the job for money. That's what I tell myself when it gets bad, when the dreams start again, or when I drive past the motel and my hands go cold on the wheel. I'm a Becker. I'm 49. I've been a bodyguard in some form or another for most of my adult life. Military police, then private security, then freelance protection work when I stopped wanting to take orders from idiots in suits. Most of the jobs blur together. Celebrities, executives, the occasional crooked politician with a fragile ego and a mistress on each coast. I kept my mouth shut, kept people alive, and cashed the checks. Simple. But this one, Jenna's case, it sticks. Because I didn't take a paycheck. I took it because she asked. She found me through a friend of a friend. Showed up at my door in jeans that didn't fit and a winter coat in spring. One hand on her kid's shoulder, the other gripping a grocery bag with holes in it. Her eyes were wide the way prey looks when it knows the predator is still nearby. She said her ex was watching her. Said she didn't trust the cops. Said she didn't want money, just help. I should have said no. I'd been out of the game for almost a year at that point. Had a busted shoulder and a mortgage I could barely keep up with. But I looked at the kid, Tyler, 9 years old, clutching a plastic dinosaur like it was Kevlar, and I said, "Yeah, I'll help." No agency. No contract. Just a mother and her son and a man who thought maybe, just maybe, he could still do one thing right. I set up cameras. Gave her a burner phone. Did drive-bys at night to make sure no one was following them. It wasn't enough. A week later, Jenna was dead. And I was too late. At first, it felt simple. Manageable. Almost like the old days, before everything got complicated. Jenna didn't ask questions. She didn't flinch when I installed cameras or walked the perimeter with a flashlight. She watched me work the way people watch surgeons, quiet, desperate, hopeful. I told her to vary her routine. Don't take the same route twice in a week. Keep her phone off when she's home. Don't open the door without checking the peephole. She nodded and followed every instruction like her life depended on it. Tyler was quiet at first. Polite but stiff. He'd sit on the edge of the couch while I ran wires or checked feed loops. Always watching. One day I asked him if he wanted to help, half joking. He nodded immediately. Ended up holding a flashlight for 20 minutes, totally still. Like he wanted to matter. I started coming by every other day. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. There was something in that little house. Something fragile, but good. Jenna made coffee the old way, with a stovetop percolator. She always offered me a mug. The first time I said no. The second time, I sat at the kitchen table and drank it black. Tyler made a face like I'd swallowed poison. There were moments I almost forgot what we were doing. Just a mom, her boy, and a bodyguard with bad knees drinking coffee and talking about school projects and Legos. But there were signs. A car parked across the street 2 nights in a row. A knocked-over trash can near the fence. The porch light turning off by itself. Jenna said she was probably being paranoid. But she didn't sound convinced. And neither was I. The first time I knew for sure something was wrong, it was a Tuesday. I remember because Jenna had made grilled cheese and tomato soup, and Tyler was wearing a paper crown he made at school. I came by just to check in. Everything seemed fine. They looked normal. Almost happy. Then the alarm went off at 3:42 a.m. I was less than 10 minutes away. I didn't even wait to put on shoes. Just grabbed my keys, my pistol, and flew down the street like it was Kandahar again. When I got there, the front door was open. Not kicked in. Just open. Porch light still on. House dark. I cleared the rooms fast. Gun drawn, corner to corner. No intruder. No broken windows. But the living room was a mess. Couch cushions on the floor. A photo frame shattered near the hallway. Jenna was huddled in the closet with Tyler, shaking. She'd hit the panic button on the app one gave her. Didn't even call 911, just me. She kept saying, "He was here. I heard him." Over and over. Tyler just stared at me like he was waiting for me to say it was a drill. But it wasn't. I checked the footage. The front camera had glitched. Not offline, just scrambled static between 3:40 and 3:45. Back camera too. Whoever came knew what they were doing. Jenna's hands wouldn't stop trembling when she picked up the broken frame. It was a baby photo of Tyler, glass cracked across his face. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't some drunk ex pounding on windows. This was controlled. Intentional. He didn't break in because he didn't have to. He wanted her to know he could get in whenever he wanted. I called one of my old contacts at the agency. Told him what happened. He said, "If there's no footage and no witness, it didn't happen." I wanted to reach through the phone and shake him. But I didn't. Because part of me still wanted to believe this could be handled the old way: clean reports, chain of command, basic decency. I told Jenna we needed to escalate. Leave the house. Get somewhere safer. She said, "If I run, he'll follow. And then he'll stop hiding." I didn't know what to say to that. She wasn't wrong. That was the first time I really felt it in my gut, the weight. The thing you try to keep locked up when you're supposed to be the calm one. I didn't have a name for it then. Now I do. Helplessness. I started second-guessing everything after that night. The cameras glitched, sure, but what if it was just a tech issue? Maybe a loose wire. Maybe a software update. Maybe she just forgot to lock the door. That's the problem with this kind of work: once doubt slips in, it spreads. I'd seen it in other clients. And now I saw it in myself. Jenna tried to act like things were fine the next morning. She even laughed at Tyler's cereal mustache and made pancakes like it was Sunday brunch. But she jumped when the kettle whistled. And her eyes never left the windows. I asked her again about leaving. Said I'd cover the cost of a short-term rental in another city. She shook her head. "I already did that once. He found us in 2 weeks." That stopped me. She hadn't told me that before. I asked how he found them. She didn't answer. Just looked at Tyler, then back at me. Something about that look made my skin crawl. I started calling in favors. Quietly. Asked some old friends to dig into Marcus, her ex. One of them called back, said, "You didn't hear this from me, but the guy's brother is a sheriff's deputy. Small county. Real tight circle. They protect their own." I asked if Marcus had a record. He said, "Nothing public. But I wouldn't leave my sister alone with him." That night, I drove by Jenna's place around midnight. Just to check. There was a black SUV parked 3 houses down, lights off. I sat in my car across the street for almost an hour. Nobody got in or out. Finally, it drove off. No plates on the back. I told Jenna the next day. She just said, "He used to borrow one of his cousin's trucks. Always black. Always no plates." I offered to bring them to my place. Safer, more secure. She thanked me but said no. Said she didn't want Tyler growing up thinking nowhere was safe. I didn't know how to argue with that. She asked me that night if I thought she was crazy. I didn't answer right away. Because part of me wasn't sure anymore. Not about her. About me. About whether I was making things worse just by being there. A week later, I found the GPS tracker. It was under Jenna's car, duct taped to the rear axle. Commercial grade. Not some cheap Amazon knockoff. Someone spent money on it. I didn't tell her right away. I just held it in my hand in the garage and stared at it like it might hiss or bite. I knew what it meant. If he was tracking her this whole time, everything we did, routes, grocery runs, even our fake-out drives, meant nothing. I destroyed it, wiped prints, and tossed it in a dumpster 20 miles away. That same night, her phone buzzed 3 times in a row, unknown number, then nothing. I checked the logs. They were wiped. Some kind of cloning software. I'd seen it before. Marcus wasn't working alone. I started documenting everything. Took screenshots. Stored clips from the camera feeds onto a separate drive I kept at home, not the cloud. Called another friend in cyberforensics, just to be safe. Then I saw him. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was parked down the street, watching the house from a blind angle I liked, behind a busted van no one ever towed. I saw a man walk past the corner. Ball cap. Aviators. Limp in his left knee. He looked right at the house. Didn't knock. Didn't pause. Just passed by, slow, like he was timing something. I stayed still. Took 3 photos with the long lens. Sent one to my contact. He called me 20 minutes later. "That's him. That's Marcus. He gained weight and changed his hair, but that limp? That's his tell." I showed the photo to Jenna. She just nodded. Said, "He's getting close again." I asked if she wanted to go to the police now, with evidence. She said, "He is the police." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just domestic violence. This wasn't about custody or jealousy. This was about power. And power protects itself. I made one more call, to a guy I trusted who still worked at the agency. He didn't answer. Texted me 2 hours later. Can't talk. You should drop this. I texted back. He's going to kill her. The reply came fast. Just one word. Then don't be there when he does. She was gone. I pulled up to the house on a Friday morning, coffee in one hand, keys in the other, and the driveway was empty. Door locked. Curtains drawn. No sound inside. I knocked. Nothing. I let myself in using the emergency key she'd taped under the gutter. The living room was clean. Too clean. No Tyler toys scattered on the floor. No coffee mug in the sink. No sign they'd ever been there, except the note on the kitchen table. You were right. I'm going. No signature. Just those 5 words, written in block letters on a torn-out notebook page. My first thought? Maybe they ran. Maybe she listened. Second thought? Maybe he got to them first. I checked the feeds. Front camera showed nothing after midnight. Same with the back. Clean cut. Deleted or disabled, couldn't tell which. I called her burner phone. Disconnected. I checked hospitals. Shelters. Even an old safe house address I once gave her. Nothing. For 48 hours, I drove the city like a madman. Slept in my car. Ate once. Kept thinking, she said she wouldn't run again. Not without telling me. And she was a mother. Mothers don't leave without packing the kids' drawings. His backpack was still in the bedroom. Sunday morning, the news broke. Unidentified woman found deceased in a motel bathroom near I-74. Foul play suspected. No ID. No signs of forced entry. Investigation ongoing. They showed her shoes. Brown canvas sneakers with a faded pink stripe. I didn't even realize I was standing until my coffee hit the floor. I drove straight to the motel. Talked my way past the desk clerk. Paid cash to see the room. Room 204. The bedding had been stripped, the bathroom bleached. But I saw the towel bar, half bent from weight. And I knew. There was no overdose. No accident. Someone made it look that way. I called the detective listed in the report. Gave him my name, credentials. Said I was working protection detail for the woman, Jenna Taylor. He said, "There's no one by that name in the system." I asked if there was a child. He paused. Then said, "No child was found." That was when the real panic hit. Not grief. Not even rage. Just this sinking, frozen thing in my chest. Where's Tyler? I made a scene at the precinct. I don't even remember what I said. Something about a body, a missing child, a corrupt department. Voices raised. One of the uniforms told me to calm down. I flashed my expired agency badge, and he laughed. "You freelance now? Then go freelance somewhere else." That was the tone everywhere I went. Dead woman, no ID, no open case. Motel staff didn't know anything. The morgue wouldn't let me see the body without family credentials. And the detective? He stopped answering my calls. I filed a missing child report. Gave them Tyler's photo, full name, everything. They said they'd log it. I called back 3 days later. They said there was no such report on file. That's when I knew. Someone high up wanted this erased. I tried going through my old agency again. Big mistake. They'd already been warned about me, apparently. My name had been flagged, whatever that means. My calls weren't returned. One guy I'd trained with emailed me a single line. "Back off, Will. This isn't a story you survive." I wish I could say I took the hint. But I didn't. I went back to Jenna's house. It had been cleared out. Not just emptied, scrubbed. No forwarding address. No lease records. Like she never lived there. Her neighbor, a retired teacher who once baked me muffins, wouldn't even open the door. People don't just forget that fast. Unless they're told to. That's when I started losing sleep. I'd sit in the dark, refreshing missing persons boards. Looking for photos of kids who might have been Tyler. None were him. Not yet. I stopped shaving. Lost weight. I kept thinking if I'd pushed harder earlier, if I'd forced her to leave, if I'd put them in my own house, if I'd stayed that one last night. Then maybe. I kept hearing her voice. If I run, he'll stop hiding. Well, she ran. And now they were both gone. And I was the only one who still cared. I was 3 drinks in when the message came. Burner number. No name. No subject. Just a photo. Blurry. Low light. Looked like it was taken through a tinted car window. But I recognized the hoodie. Red, with a faded dinosaur decal. Tyler's. Same one he wore that night he fell asleep on the couch during the movie. He was in the back seat of a car. Pale. Scared. Eyes wide. Looking straight at the camera like he knew whoever took it was the last person he'd see. Then came the text. He has him. I stared at the screen so long the phone shut off from inactivity. Then I moved. I hadn't felt clarity like that in months. Maybe years. All the fog, the guilt, the helpless loops in my head, it snapped. I grabbed the go bag from the closet. 1 pistol, 1 burner phone, a charger, $3,200 in cash, and a printed photo of Tyler and Jenna at a pumpkin patch. I didn't have a plan. I didn't care. The message came from a cell tower on the south side. I drove toward it like the brakes were broken. Hit every red light. Didn't stop. My body was on autopilot, but my mind was sharp. He has him. That meant Jenna was dead. Confirmed. And it meant Marcus wasn't done. He had the kid. And he wanted someone to know. Why? That's what stuck in my head. Why send the photo to me? Why not just disappear? I pulled over at a truck stop. Reread the message 10 times. Then it hit me. It wasn't Marcus who sent it. It was someone close to him. Someone who saw too much. Someone who wasn't okay with what happened. That changed everything. If there was a leak, a crack in Marcus's armor, then I could use it. Not legally. Not cleanly. But I could work with that. I wasn't a cop. I wasn't an agent. I didn't need a warrant. I just needed a name. And I knew exactly who to squeeze to get it. I didn't go to the cops. I didn't file a complaint. I went to the one man I knew would know where Marcus was, his cousin Denny. Denny worked security at a strip mall in a part of town where surveillance cameras break and cops drive slow. He'd done time for assault. I once saw him beat a guy with a tire iron for parking in his spot. I waited until he got off shift. Followed him to the bar behind the pawn shop. Went in, sat at his table without asking. He looked up and grinned. "Becker," he said, "you look like hell." I didn't smile. I slid a photo of Tyler across the table. "Where is he?" I said. Denny didn't touch the picture. Just leaned back and shrugged. "I don't know what you think you're doing." I cut him off. "Don't play. Someone close to Marcus sent me a picture. If it wasn't you, it's someone you know. And if I have to start digging in your circle, I will. You know I will." He paused. His fingers drummed on the table. "I ain't got nothing to do with that kid," he said. "I didn't know she was dead until I heard it from someone else. Marcus kept it all tight this time. But you know where he is." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." We stared at each other for 10 solid seconds. I could feel my pulse in my jaw. He looked down. Sighed. "There's a storage yard near the refinery on Ashland," he muttered. "They've got a trailer out there. He's been staying off-grid since, you know. Since her." I stood. "Thanks. You gonna call someone?" "No." Denny raised an eyebrow. "Then what the hell you planning to do?" I looked him in the eye. "End it." I drove straight to Ashland. No backup. No plan. Just instinct and years of anger stretching tight across my spine. Found the yard. Jumped the fence. Saw the trailer near the back, under a halogen lamp buzzing like a hornet. The door was closed. No lights. Then I heard it, a soft thump. Like something kicking from inside. I raised my weapon. Didn't call out. I opened the door. And there he was. Tyler. Duct tape on his wrists. Eyes swollen from crying. Curled on a cot in the corner. He looked at me like I was something out of a dream. Then I heard a voice behind me. "Wrong move, Becker." Marcus didn't get a second warning. I turned, weapon raised, and put one round straight through his thigh before he could lift whatever was in his hand. He screamed and went down hard, yelling something about rights and, "You're finished." I didn't care. I cuffed him with zip ties, dragged him outside, and laid him face down in the dirt. I told Tyler not to look. He didn't listen. Just grabbed my hand and wouldn't let go. The boy didn't say a word until we were in the car. He whispered, "Is my mom alive?" I couldn't lie. I just shook my head. He turned to the window. Didn't cry. Just stared. I dropped Marcus off at the local emergency room entrance, zip-tied, bleeding, with a printout of all the evidence I had taped to his chest. Camera footage. Tracker logs. Photos. The whole damn file. I called in an anonymous tip from a payphone. Didn't stick around. 3 days later, Marcus was out on bail. His brother paid it. No charges were filed for kidnapping. Just illegal confinement, pending investigation. That's what the news said. Tyler was put into state custody. They told me I wasn't family. Said I had no legal right to keep him. I showed up to the hearing anyway. Sat in the back. No one looked at me. He was placed with a temporary foster family. The social worker said, "We're evaluating long-term options." I asked if he could write me. She hesitated, then said, "That depends on the court." I didn't press. Now I visit the block once a week. I don't get out. I just park across the street, wait until he comes out to ride his bike or draw chalk monsters on the sidewalk. Sometimes he looks up. Like he knows I'm there. And every time, I nod once. He never waves. But he sees me. And that's enough, for now. They say you're supposed to let go. That healing is about acceptance. About time passing. About forgiveness. That's not how this works. Not for me. Jenna is still dead. Tyler's still in the system. Marcus still walks free. And me? I live in a rented apartment 2 counties over, drive a car with plates registered to an old LLC, and never take the same road twice in a week. I've had people tail me. I've found my name posted on private forums. Once, a guy showed up outside my building with questions. Said he was a podcaster. He left with a broken camera and a warning. There's no victory here. No closure. Just a kid who deserved better. A mother who never got help in time. And a man who keeps a loaded weapon beside his bed every night, not out of fear, but because he promised himself he'd never be caught off guard again. I still check the mail, hoping there'll be something from Tyler. A card. A note. A drawing. There never is. I know I can't fix it. I know I can't bring her back. But if the day ever comes when he needs me again, if someone comes for him, I'll be there. And this time, I won't knock.